and gentlemen and programmers. We're going to do CodeAcademy Part 10, Intro, or Lesson 10, Intro to Loops. All right, so what I want you guys to do is get out your notes, write down 10.1 Introduction to Loops at the top of your notes, then write your name at the top of your notes, and then after you write down your intelligent question about the reading, I want you to have them signed off. Speaking of intelligent question about the reading, let's open up CodeAcademy 10, and we're going to go to over here, and you're going to read this. You're going to read this about loops. You're going to read this over here. You're going to read this, and then you're going to do what it says. Okay. So now, one thing I want you to notice about loops is that they go round and around and around and around and around. See if you can see in your notes. See if you can write down for extra credit what song. That was done very poorly, but what song, famous song, is that from? Okay, so write down your intelligent question. Let's go back to the spiel and see what is next on the agenda. Okay, so write this down. Your notes. What do programmers need loops for? That should say for. What does it mean? Some condition is met, and what are the three types of loops? Well, we can. Anyway, we'll figure that out. All right, so answer those questions. Ask me in class if you don't understand the answer to that. Okay, so, open CodeAcademy. That shouldn't say it's CodeAcademy. Hold tight. I'm going to hit pause on this. There's too many mistakes here. Okay, so that was supposed to say JDoodle. So open JDoodle and save your project as CodeAcademy 10.1. Create code similar to what you see in the video to create a loop that will print simply multiple times using a while loop. Write JDoodle 10.1 in your notes and have it don't forget the little line there, and then have me sign it off. All right, let's take a look at, see what this is going to look like. All right, so we're going to come over here. We're going to go to JDoodle. Okay, so basically open up JDoodle. You just leave, everybody wants to, not everybody, but some dum-dums want to delete this. Just leave the stuff. You need this main method here, so you might as well just leave it. It's not hurting anything. Okay, and then you're going to click on here, and you're going to go to save as or whatever. So I'm just going to hit save because I've already saved it. Okay, but save it as CA 10.1 and make sure that gets saved. All right, now take a look at what we've done. All right, so here we are. We have our main method, and then here's the main method. So inside the main method, we just went down here, and I wrote down create a variable for how many iterations you will run the loop. We oftentimes use I for iteration. So I said int I equals 0. So I have this little box called I. Oh, like I have a little drawing tools here. I love drawing tools. I'm going to draw. So I have a little box. Its name is I. Okay, and that stands for iteration. And right now we have a 0 in the box. Okay, and so what's going to happen is here's your condition. We talked earlier about the condition. It says while, and so the parameters here, it says I is less than 10. Okay, so right now, is 0 less than 10? And the answer is yes. So this condition is true. So that condition is true. And notice, by the way, I have another curly brace here, and I added a curly brace there. So basically, everything from here to here is going to run over and over and over. It's going to go round and around and around until I is no longer less than 10. Okay. So anyway, let's go through it again. So I is 0. Okay. And so we're going through our first, and so the answer is yes. I is indeed less than 0. 0 is indeed less than 10. So the condition is true. So we're going to go through our first iteration of the loop. So we're going to say system.out.println. I will say I love you. I, which is 0. So it's going to print 0 times. And then we say I++. What does I++ do? I++ increments our variable I. It's basically saying add 1 to it. So now the 0 turns into a 1. Okay, which you can't see. Well, we'll just write it over here. So that 0 turns into 1. And we get to our curly brace, and that kicks us right back up to the top of our loop. And it says while 1 is less than 10. Yes, 1 is less than 10. So it goes through our second iteration of the loop. Okay, and then it's going to say I will say I love you 1 times, and then I++. So now I is no longer equal to 1. It's now equal to 2, and it's going to check the condition 2. And then it's going to get all the way up to 9. Okay, so we're going to get up to 9. So It's going to say 9 is less than 10, correct? And then 9 plus 1 is 10. And so it's going to say while it's basically is 10 less than 10. 10 is not less than 10, so it's going to kick us out of our loop, okay? So let's go ahead and what does this do? How do I get out of it? Oh, there I go. Okay, so let's execute this and see what it does. So you can see that it goes through 10 iterations. 1, 2. So I love you 0, 1 times. Okay. So let's play around this. Let's say like, okay, I really, really love my wife. Okay. So I'm going to say if I wanted to do it more times, I could say, well, I'm going to change this to 100. Okay. So it's going to now go up from 0 to 99. So I'm going to hit execute, and it's going to do this. By the way, notice, does it take it any time to do this? No. Like to do some repetitive tasks like that, the computer can do it really fast. Now, here's some weird thing. So this thing went through how many iterations? It went through 100 iterations, right? But it only gets to 99 because it started at 0. So let's say you didn't want it to start at 0. So you could just say, you could do this. You could say, you could do a couple different things. The easiest way to do it would be to say I plus 1. So if I said I plus 1, I is 0, and the first thing it's going to do is going to say 0 plus 1 is 1, right? So now it's going to go from 0 to 100. So it's still going to have 100 iterations, right? Oh, that was not what I had intended. I'm not sure. Oh, did it concatenated it. I'll have to figure out what it's doing there. Hold on, let me figure this out. Okay, so what it's doing is, what I was wanting to do is take 0 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1, right? And then like 1 plus 1 is 2. But what it's doing is it's using I as letters. It thinks that I is a letter, so it's taking the number 0 and turning it into the letter 0, and so then it's just adding a 1 to it. So it's a 0 and a 1 after it. It's a 1 and a 1 after it. So in order to fix that, I put in parentheses like this. And so then it realizes like, oh, he wants to do the math. And so it does the math and then converts that. So anyway, so now it's going to go from 1 to 100. Okay, so I want you to do the same thing. I want you to do the same thing, and I want you to do the same thing. You can use the same text, or you can change the text. You can do whatever you want, but the idea is you're going to use a while loop. You're going to use a variable I that stands for iteration. And by the way, if you get rid of the I plus plus, okay, so if I were to get rid of this, that's bad because I equals 0. Hey, is 0 less than 100? Yes. And then it's going to do this. And then it's going to hit here and come up to here. So this is I is still 0. Is 0 less than 100? Yes. Is 0 less than 100? So you're going to do an infinite loop. So you're going to do this thing over and over and over forever, and it's going to crash the computer. So if you leave out that I plus plus, bad things will happen. Okay, so make sure you write this JDoodle10.1 in your notes. Make sure you do all this. All right, and then answer the question, what is the condition in your JDoodle project? What does I stand for? What does I plus plus do? What bad thing will happen if you leave out I plus plus? Answer those questions in your notes. What do programmers need loops for? If you never answer this, they need them to do tasks over and over again. So instead of writing system.out.println 100 times, you can use a loop. What does it mean until some condition is met? So it's the while I is less than 100 part, or the I is less than 10 part. It's like while that thing is true, then we're going to do the loop. As soon as that's false, it kicks you out of the loop. What are the 3 types of loops? Well, that's easy. You just come back over here to CodeAcademy, and it tells us right here there's while loops, for loops, and for each loop. Right now we just looked at the while loops. All right, I think that's it for this one, guys. Thank you.